Hey guys, what's going on? Shadolance back for another review. Today I am bringing you guys the Global M4A1. That's the event going on right now. It's the hot topic at Combat Arms. Everyone's going after this event, hosting OMA rooms specifically to get the kills for this event. Everyone wants a hold of this free SOP mod. That's basically what it is, except it's a little bit nerfed, and that's probably fair because it's a free giveaway weapon. But we're going to delve into this weapon today and see what's so good about it, and if you're not able to make the event, why it may or may not be a good thing, because there could be a chance to redeem yourself. So I'm going to go over that here in this review. So starting off, I'm just going to list off the stats based on what the new stat system is. We have a damage of 34, a weight of 11, a rate of fire of 285 based on the new system, an accuracy of 66, a recoil of 23, and a range of 3750, which is the standard for assault rifles. The M4A1 SOP mod, on the other hand, has slightly different stats, and we're also going to use the original system when I talk about this weapon because that's how most people remember this, and then I'll translate it for you guys. We have a damage of 40, which by the way has not changed, so the damage of 40 is still comparable completely to the 34 on the Global M4A1. The Global M4A1 is definitely weaker. You can see it in my gameplay. It takes more shots to kill very consistently. The damage drop-off is about the same as the SOP mod, but with the less damage to begin with. It hits the Global M4A1 harder. The original M4A1 SOP mod has a portability using the original scale of 66, which is exactly the same as the Global M4A1. That has not changed. The rate of fire using the original scale of the SOP mod is 74, which does translate directly to the 285 on the Global M4A1, so that hasn't changed. The accuracy of 80 versus the M4A1's, the Global M4A1 66, that doesn't translate exactly, and it is higher accuracy on the M4A1 SOP mod. You'll notice that when you're using it, your bullets hit more consistently at range. It definitely feels more accurate. You can see it in my gameplay too, where I try to engage opponents at longer ranges that I probably shouldn't be. However, it does just fine for tap firing, which is really nice, so you don't feel it too much if you're using the weapon at the ranges it's meant to be used at, although there are some quirks about it that I'm going to go over here in just a second. The recoil on both is basically the same. It's 64 recoil using the original system, and the Global M4A1 more or less is exactly the same. It has a rating of 23, which is an inverted rating scale compared to the original one, where recoil is now rated on how low it is as opposed to how high it is, so that's just sort of, it's backwards nowadays. But anyway, going back to what I was saying on that, a couple of differences with the Global M4A1 that you will notice immediately upon use. First of all, the damage is notably lower. The damage drop-off is about the same, but the damage in general is pretty low, and it does feel like you're firing more of an SMG type weapon. It doesn't feel like an assault rifle so much, just because of a couple of reasons, and the damage is reason number one. Reason number two is going to be because of the recoil pattern. The recoil, although is basically the same strength, if you want to call it that, as the M4A1 SOP mod, it's more or less just jumpier. Like, it jumps side to side more. If you're anywhere beyond medium range, you're going to be missing a lot of your shots if you just try to spray. You will not land them. In fact, I would almost recommend spraying outside of scope, because you can at least keep your crosshairs on them in that way. But if you try to go into scope, and you're going to be hitting obviously exactly where the reticle is, so if your reticle is bouncing around a lot, your shots are going to be bouncing around a lot. Nobody's going to have a good time with that. So that's just something I'd recommend to practice with. Definitely tap fire this weapon at medium ranges or anything beyond that. At close range, this weapon is excellent. You can put a magazine on this weapon, get the extra rounds in the magazine, go on large killing sprees. The suppressor works totally fine, and honestly, aesthetically, I think the gun is pretty cool. I think it's pretty neat. I like how it has a little like flags on it. I like the blue color and the black. I think that meshes very well. It's very festive, and that's why it's called a festive weapon. I think it's pretty cool. Now, honestly, even though it's technically everyone's calling it the free M4A1 SOP mod, and I gotta say, it performs more like if you guys have ever tried out the M4A1 Polish. The M4A1 Polish is just a M4A1 with slightly better stats, and to be honest, it performs more or less the same way. The only difference is the Polish doesn't come with a sight attached or a suppressor attached. So if you attach a suppressor and lower the damage of the weapon on the M4A1 Polish, you're basically going to have a Global M4A1. In fact, I would put an S1 suppressor on it just so you can get the slightly reduced recoil when firing outside of scope. I do tend to fire this weapon outside of scope a lot. You guys are going to see that. At longer ranges, I will attempt to tap fire, but you're going to see a couple of gameplay points here where I'm tap firing someone who's hiding behind a cliff or something, and I just can't land the shots for the most part because it's very, very difficult to do that with an iTech sight at long ranges. Anyway, so that's kind of my general consensus on the M4A1. Is it worth it? Absolutely. It's a free gun, and it's not a bad gun. I'm talking massive crap about it right here, but you gotta remember, it's still not a bad gun. It still performs well. It doesn't hit as hard as I would like it to, especially if you're not shooting someone in the back or the face, obviously, but it does the job. It does what you want it to do. It's worth the free time that you put into it. It's only 500 kills. You can do that in a couple hours if you just sit down and get it done. And it's honestly not a bad weapon. I wouldn't carry it into a competitive match myself. I would take my SOP mod over it any day. Like I said, they wouldn't be giving out a SOP mod for free, or else there's no reason they would even have the SOP mod in the first place. No one would ever buy it again, especially since every person in the game is quite literally doing this event right now. So overall, my general consensus is I give this thing about a 7 out of 10. It does the job. It does it pretty well. It's not the best weapon in its category. There's better things you can use. In fact, I kind of prefer the M4A1 Polish myself, because then I can go put an ACOG sight on it. I can put an S1 suppressor on it, or whatever kind of suppressor I want to put on it, and it's going to perform the way I want it to perform. But aside from that, like I said, it's free. It's a decent weapon. Go pick it up if you have the chance, and I'm going to see you guys in the next review. Shadolance out.
Round start.